first off, I just want to say, let me bring this over here. I realized I messed that up on the last one with Pedro. Like on the second take, I was like, oh man, I left my mic all the way over there. Thankfully, it still caught my voice. But yeah, man, I just wanted to say, first off, just thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
I know that life's busy, so just taking an hour out of your time, man, I'm just like super grateful for that. And chatting on my new podcast. We have a name now.
Talk to me.
It's gonna be Stacking Wins.
What does that mean to you?
Man, I'm gonna get questioned today. So Stacking Wins, man, to me, and I went back and forth on a good name. One, I chose that one because it was available. It's so hard to find a name that is not out, like already taken. But to me, Stacking Wins, I think, is a good indication of like how you should, I guess, structure your day. You know what I mean? Because going back to habits and what you should be doing on a daily basis, it's all comprised of little wins. You know, that's kind of how I like to see the things that I do. Is I want to focus on big picture, but when you're focused on the big picture, you lose sight of what you should be doing today. Yeah. Exactly. So it's like you got to stack all of these little wins to lead up to that big prize. You know, and thinking of the podcast, I'm like, this is perfect. You know, because we're all talking about our successes,
right?
And all of the success you've been through, that you've achieved, hasn't been the product of one single win. It's the product of like day 1, day 2, day 3, and I don't know how many days you've been into it, but it took a while. It took a lot of wins to stack to get to be the person you are today.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with me because, you know, I believe that, you know, how we view our lens through life, that's how we connect with people, right? So like having I backtrack for a little bit, man. Thank you too. So this is an honor for me.
Of course.
You know, wherever life is going to take us this moment, I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for the opportunity not only to share who I am, but to share the space with you and have this conversation. So thank you very much for that. And Stacking Wins is dope as hell.
Thank you.
For real. Like, and we're probably going to get into it a little bit later on, but you know, it's the details that add to the big picture. And a lot of times people get caught up in, you know, I want to be this, or I want to be that, or I want to achieve this, and yada, yada. But we forget that today there's 17 things we need to get done today.
Exactly.
In order to hit the goal for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool.
So we're going to get into a lot more of that, but quick intro on you. You are a father, you know, great friend. You're also the #1 mentor at the Levi Rodgers Group, which is quite the accomplishment. So we're going to definitely get into how you got to that point, and also like what that means, you know, because I know mentorship is kind of a broad term. So I'm definitely interested in hearing like what that means to you and how you help other agents achieve like just big success. Man.
Let's do it.
So talking about agents, you know, being a mentor, what would you say is one of the biggest challenges right now, like for agents in this type of environment? Because the market's shifted like so much in the last couple of years.
I think one of the biggest challenges for most real estate agents in our current market is not being. They use a lot of, I don't have time. I'm too busy. I have 6 things I got to get done. There's so many things I need to do. It's not, and what I found in my experience, and you know, I've been licensed for 7 years. Currently a licensed broker in the state of Texas. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing. It was one of my the one thing I made a priority. Every year I make a priority to do something to enhance me. And that was the thing that I decided to do this year for myself. That's my thing. So I'm proud of that.
Oh, so you just recently got that?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Past couple of months. I appreciate that. It took me a little over a year. I failed the exam twice before I passed on the 3rd time.
Oh, yeah.
But I knew that I had to do this.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not so much that I didn't pass the first time. It's just that I would not stop until I achieved it. So that was
and it's a big investment of time, right? Like
absolutely.
I've seen the requirements for that. It's crazy.
900 hours.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I mean, like, there's things that you can do to kind of structure that to make it more palatable, but it's 900 hours, a certain amount of you know, points for how many sales we've done over the past 4.5 years, 4 years, and then obviously the exams that need to be done too as well. So
Yeah.
I'm proud of it.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it allows me to do more than I've already been able to do, and that's really what this is all about. But you know, to get back to your question, I got a little sidetracked there. But I think the challenge for most people is, you know, it's not so much of a time management issue; it's a priority issue. Prioritization is the thing when you're in sales, when you're commission based, when it's a person or a relationship based business. It's prioritizing the things that are going to get you closer to the goal.
Yeah.
Right. And then if it's not the priority, that doesn't mean it's not a priority. And then managing that too as well.
And kind of going on a different not a different topic, but the opposite side. So what would you say is it like the worst advice right now? Like, because I'm sure you hear it all, right? And because you're giving advice yourself, what would you say is like some of the worst advice you're hearing getting told to agents that are just trying to make it through?
This is actually, it's really near and dear to my heart. So there's in the past 2 months, I've brought on about 15 real estate agents for the Levi Rodgers Group. And a lot of them are agents coming from a different brokerage or a different experience or whatever that thing is. And a lot of them are coming in and are saying, well, you know, I was told this.
Yeah.
And that thing that they're sharing with me is just get in and just do it.
Yeah.
Just go. You gotta get in the game.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that it's a miss because if we don't plan, if we don't have clear goals to know when we've achieved the success that we're seeking,
Yeah.
and then we don't know what scaling looks like before we even get involved with our business, because this is a small business. If you went to a bank for a loan and you're like, hey man, I'm super excited, everybody's telling me I'm going to be great, can I borrow $100 million?
Yeah.
What's the bank going to tell you?
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same thing for real estate agents. You got to have a plan.
Yeah.
Like and if you don't have a plan or you don't know where to start, one of the best things I can advise anybody is ask questions. Go to somebody that's doing it and ask some questions, and go to somebody else that's doing it, whether they're being here, or they're just getting started themselves. Because there's value at all levels.
There is.
Like if you can't learn something from everybody, you got to slow down.
Yeah.
Because everybody has value to add. So I would encourage people, you know, have a plan.
Yeah.
Ask some questions and ask a few more questions. Figure out what success looks like, feels like, tastes like. And then you can say, okay, I have a target that I can aim for, and here's the plan to get there. And once I'm here, the choice is, how do I maintain it? How do I scale it?
Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome. That's really good advice. Yeah. And I really like that. And it resonates with me too, because that's one thing that I've been looking, I guess, at myself and how I'm kind of doing things equally. So we have obviously a big company that I work with. And one of the things that they are a big proponent of is just coaching, right? So we have some really high producers, and they're sharing all of these tips, and it just goes back with what you said. It's like, what is somebody that is doing what you want to do doing? You know, it's as easy as that. Because before, one of the mistakes I made was trying to reinvent myself. You know, trying to reinvent the wheel. You know, I'm trying to trailblaze my own path to success. You know what I mean? And it's like I made every mistake along the way, and then I finally realized, I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to come up with like all these crazy ideas when the solution is like, I'm looking at the solution. It just looks super basic and it doesn't look flashy. It looks boring, but those boring daily habits are, you know, the second wins, those boring wins are what it takes to succeed sometimes. You know, it's as simple as that. You know, it's routine.
I would tell you that I think a lot of us are going to be guilty of saying like we're trying to reinvent the wheel, because I think in the pursuit of taking massive ownership, I'm talking about like massive ownership.
Yeah.
Right. In the pursuit of taking that, you know, we forget, or sometimes it gets out of our perspective that, hey, somebody's already done this.
Yeah.
And there's lessons and experiences that we can take that's going to add value and incorporate who we are. And I will tell you, you know, when I got started with the Levi Rodgers Group about 7 years ago, I sat in front of Levi and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing in real estate.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. It was just crazy. Like a really good friend of mine, Eli Perez, he'd been after me for about a year. He's like, Rick, man, you really got to get into real estate, bro. You're gonna kill it. You're gonna be awesome. And you know me, I'm like, I was in the military for a little bit. I was managing restaurants at the time. I was like, what do I know about real estate? I was renting a house. Nobody in my family had ever owned a home, you know? So we didn't come from much, and I felt like I was being successful already, right? But I knew I wanted to do more. I wanted to have more. I wanted to be more and to impact more. I didn't know what that more looked like. And Eli was, you know, I'm telling you, he was at me for like a year. Yeah. And then I was like, we were sitting down one day, we're, you know, playing cards, having a beer and stuff. And he was like, man, I forgot to cash this $12,000 check. I was like, come on, man, just play your hand. Yeah. What are you doing? And he was like, no, I'm serious. I forgot to cash this check. And so I'm like, all right. At the time, he lived like a couple houses down. I was like, man, you go home and you come back with a $12,000 check. I'm starting real estate tonight.
Yeah.
He came back 7 years ago.
He had it.
Yeah, man. I'm like, yo, so Champions School of Real Estate, is that where we're going? And
That'll
so
do it. That'll
yeah,
do it.
man. But then I got in front of Levi, and he put me in front of Levi, and like two of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Best decisions I've ever made in my life. One was getting into real estate, getting my license. The second thing is joining the Levi Rodgers Group. Like hands down. Like hands down, it has changed my entire life.
What do you say that? Like, what is it about the team?
Individually, I'm a bad man. Right? But I can only do so much. I can only become so much on my own. Right? My first year in real estate, I closed 27 homes. It's not because I knew the 337 people that I had to get in front of to find 27 homes and relationships that I could build. I didn't know that many people. It wasn't that I had all of the tools, the systems in place so that I could streamline the process for the clients and so I can solve for their problems. It wasn't because of that. It wasn't because of the relationships and the knowledge that were being poured into me. I didn't have those things organically, right? My brokerage, Levi Rodgers as the man, bet on me. He bet on me. And the organization that he's built over the past 16, 17 years, you know, when I started 7 years ago, there was 12 real estate agents on our team, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Today we have well over 275 of them, spanning 3 different markets. I was the first expansion market by myself up there in Killeen. And I would tell you, I can get in front of people and have a great conversation, but I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the lead generation. I didn't have the experience. I didn't have the problem solving skills for this industry.
Yeah.
But the people around me did. That's why I say, if it wasn't for Levi Rodgers, the man, if it wasn't for Levi Rodgers, the real estate group, you know, I don't know where I would be in life right now, right? All of my success, I attribute to and I credit my brokerage and the people that make that up, right? The people, it's the relationships in that brokerage that has definitely helped me get to where I'm at. It doesn't take away from the fact that I had to get out there and have those conversations, man. But I'm telling you, surrounding yourself with the right people, as cliche as that may sound, you know, you hear that all over the place sometimes, right?
Yeah. Your network is your net worth.
Again, one of those quick little one-liners, right?
Yeah.
But what people don't realize is the truth of it, the value of it, the weight in gold, the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
for
true.
sure.
It's true. It's one of those things too. That's like, it's one of the first things I heard when I got into this business, and I was like, what does that even mean? You know what I mean? Like, how does this benefit me? You know, I have friends already. They don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not until you start going through all of these different tactics and you start realizing, oh, hey, it really just is about like the value you put out to people and the network that you're bringing in, you know?
Something else I would tell you is like, and I didn't realize this until like years later when I became a mentor. You attract what you become. Like what I mean by that is, if you want to become you have to, if you want to attract that, you want to achieve that, you have to become it first. Like that, I believe in that energy and that vibrations.
Yeah.
So, you know, have you ever heard somebody say you have to dress for the part?
Yes.
Right? So you have to dress for the part, meaning, you know, if you want to be a manager, be a manager first. Demonstrate the qualities, the characteristics of being a manager before you even get to that role.
Yeah.
Jason Brooks is somebody that he was my mentor when I first got started in the brokerage. And I was the first mentee of the brokerage, the first pilot of how we're going to figure out how to teach the brand new agents to
Oh,
come
yeah.
on board.
Okay. So you've been in it since day one. Okay.
Yeah. He's OG mentor for the brokerage. And he told me, because I was like 7-8 months in, and I was like, man, I'm trying to achieve this. I'm trying to achieve that. And he was like, and I told him, I was like, man, do you think I should go to Levi and negotiate? Or do you think what do you think I should do? He's like, you know what, Rick, before you put your hand out, make sure that that hand is full of value first. So when you put that hand out, it's not even a conversation.
Yeah.
And that followed me for the rest of my career. I remember that. I remember him saying that to me. As frustrated I was in that moment, I remember that, and you know, it carries forward. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's a good saying too, because it's one of the things that I'm thinking about daily. You know, before I reach out to anybody. I mean, I'm always thinking like, how can I benefit this person? You know, before it's like, okay, what can this person do for me? I always try to come up with like something I can provide to the other, because it's big. You know.
But I think that it goes into your success, even into your own success and my success as well. Is this is a people business, right? And if we're not bringing value, if we're not putting them before ourselves, you know, you don't get into business for, you know, free, of
Yeah.
course, but the only way that I personally believe, the way that I manage my business, is I put people first. I'm a servant leader, right? I genuinely believe that if I can solve for your problems and I can add value to your process, everything that I want in life is going to be provided.
Yes.
I believe that 100,000%. I'm a man of faith too, so it kind of plays well into what I believe and how I raise my son as well.
Provide first, and the rest falls into place.
It really does, and it helps. Like, kind of going back to the who you surround yourself with. That's how Levi was successful.
Yeah.
And, to your point of not reinventing the wheel, that's what I do as a mentor now. Like, I model what I do after what I've seen somebody else do it at a much, much higher level.
Yeah.
So it's been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. And earlier you mentioned that you have brought on like 14, 15 new agents. How did that come about? Like, how did they make or why did they want to make the transfer from their current one? Like, was there something like, are you seeing stuff lacking like in other brokerages?
So I would say, I think everybody has their own model.
Yeah.
And I think that every model has value. So whatever somebody's doing down the street and it's working for them, kudos to them, because I want everybody to win. I think that there's enough for all of us to be successful. So, there's that. But I think that Levi Rodgers as an organization, the Levi Rodgers Group, we offer 3 things that are exceptional. And not only are we offering these 3 things, but we have a proven track record of success. Consistency in real estate is the hardest thing to do. You can close 4 properties today, this month, this week.
Yeah.
What are you doing next month? What are you doing 6 months from now?
Yeah.
So finding consistency and success, like the Levi Rodgers Group is the #1 brokerage in San Antonio for almost 4 years running now, right? So consistency and success goes a long ways to it. So when I share the three points of value, the differentiators, it resonates with people. The very first thing I talk about is support, right? Because for the vast majority of real estate agents that are just getting started, you don't know. And I'm not even talking about training yet, because training's a part of it, but support, just somebody to say, hey, I just, here's a question, here's a situation, here's something I don't even know how to fill out. I don't even know where I should start. How do I even structure my day?
Yeah.
And support's not just mentorship. Support is our culture.
Yeah.
Right? At our organization, our real estate agents pour into each other.
Yeah.
Like, that is phenomenal.
How do you create that kind of environment? Because I know it's not like that everywhere. How do you get agents to want to collaborate with other agents? Because there are some that think like, oh, I'm trying to win for myself. I don't want this other person to win. How do you create that, like, that team mindset?
Yeah. So, not to be a broken record, but I genuinely attributed this to Levi. Myra Torres is our managing broker and president of the organization as well, and she does a great job leading this too. But Levi, at the heart of him, like, millions and millions of dollars, thousands of transactions. He can do anything he wants to do in life. Yeah. Right. And he pours back into our brokerage. He takes time out of his week every week to be present, to be involved, and scaling it back. Right. That's how we all started in our organization. So we all have a pay it forward mindset. Right. Like, I feel like I owe it to the next real estate agent that's coming into our organization to give them that same experience. Right. The loyalty that's been built over time with our organization is amazing. So when we come in, part of that interview process isn't, do you have a pulse? You got a license? You want to get to work? It's not only are we adding value to that real estate agent, but is this real estate agent going to be able to add value to our organization? So we're very, very selective in who we bring on, but that doesn't mean that you can't make it onto the team. It just means that we want people that are team oriented. Yeah. That's growth mindset, that understands that accountability is a part of success. Yeah. You will never be successful until you hold yourself to it, until you hold accountability to the things that you said long after the emotion is gone. So I think that we do that very, very well. We have 6 other mentors in the Levi Rodgers Group, and all of us do it a slightly different way. We all have our own little flavor to it, but we all, at the core of us, are the very same. We all came up in that environment, and so we foster that as well. We have very, very good agents that do the same. Yeah. Right. So one of the things I use as an example is, kind of leading into one of the other points of value this brokerage has, is that if there's 45 real estate agents, there's not 5 pieces of the pie, and 45 real estate agents are fighting over those 5 pieces. In our organization, one of the other value propositions is lead generation. So if there's 45 real estate agents, there's 60, 70, 80 pieces of this pie. Yeah. Right. And so when you have an environment of abundance in that regard, then this is mine goes away. Yeah. Now it's like, how do I be successful? What are you doing? Right. And being able to share that, freely pouring knowledge into each other. It's amazing.
Mhm.
It's amazing. And I've interviewed hundreds of real estate agents at this point, and I have not come across that anywhere else.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's very unique too, because I mean, like I said, I work with a lot of different brokerages, and so I kind of I don't know all the ins and outs,
Right.
but I do see with like with what you're describing and just what I see posted on social media from other just agents within the brokerage. It seems very collaborative. You know, it seems like it's an environment where everybody's just sharing with each other and trying to bring each other up. So
Yeah,
I definitely love that about like what you guys have. You know,
for sure.
it's a great culture to have. You know, because nobody wants to be a part of a culture where you feel like you're not supported. You know, I think that's number one. Whenever an agent is choosing where they're going to go, you know,
Yeah.
kind of hang their license, because it's a tough market. But whenever you have the right team beside you,
Surrounded by the right people.
yeah, you just adopt a different mentality. You know, like of course, being with a specific brokerage doesn't change the market at all, but it changes your outlook on it. It changes your perspective
Your
on it,
experience of it.
which changes everything. You know what I mean? Because if you feel good about it, I mean, who cares if rates are 7%, 8%, 9%, whatever it is? Like, all that matters is that you're doing what you need to do every single day, and it really just helps to have that camaraderie between your group to make it happen. Because with a good group, you can tackle anything. You know.
Absolutely. So the brokerage is awesome within my group. So I'm the mentor for G3. Shout out to G3. We have a very, very cool collaborative environment within our organization and within my group. So support is huge in what we do as an organization, what I do as a mentor. And I think right behind that is training. So the more you know it in Tom, part of another relationship that we have at the brokerage, he said this in passing, and it's something that stuck with me as well. The more you know, the more you sell, right? So knowledge is key. Knowledge is king. Knowledge is king. If you've never read your contract, how do you leverage your contract?
Yeah.
Right? If you've never had a conversation with another real estate agent, how do you know how to negotiate? Right? If you don't know how to ask great questions to the person in front of you that you're trying to add value to and solve for their problems, how do you even know what the problems are?
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? So training at our organization at a brokerage level is phenomenal. We do deep dives every Tuesday, 10 to 12. And this is Levi leading this. He's committed I think in 6-7 years since he's been doing this, maybe once or twice we've had to reschedule by acts of God, right? So he makes this a priority. Remember, we were talking about time management versus prioritization. What's the priority?
Yeah.
It makes it a priority. So training is a priority in our organization. And the more that you can absorb, the more engaged you are as a real estate agent, everybody has a learning curve, right? Mentorship, support shortens that curve. Training shortens that curve. By shortening that curve, we arrive at our goals a lot faster.
Yeah. Is this the training that I saw a couple agents posting a luxury home earlier this week? You guys were all
Yeah.
Is that what that was?
Jaffet, yeah. So Mr. Jaffet, he came and hosted us at one of his model homes. Levi has a great relationship with him. They've done business back and forth over the years while Levi was in his white truck. If you ever talk to Levi, he'll tell you about this white truck. He's so he has a story for everything, but it's all relevant. So he used to have this white truck that he would roll around in and do business and hustling and bustling.
Yeah.
And one of the relationships he developed was with Jaffet, Mr. Jaffet. And this is 10 years ago, maybe. And carrying through building that relationship, maintaining that relationship in the business aspect and personally. So they hosted us at one of his model homes, and this is a new build. This is a custom build. This is a semi-custom build. What do you look for? What are the red flags? What are green flags? Like, hey, this is the right move to make. And they were sharing their process and what we can expect and levels of quality. And that's something that Levi does. I mean, it's something else that we do at our organization is we'll have lawyers come in and break down those contracts. We'll have economists come in and break down the economy. We'll have investors come in and break down what that side of the business looks like. And all of it's to build the agent. And even besides the professional part of that, he does this on a personal level to build us as individuals. Like for myself, he's my mentor as well. Every month I sit down with him one-on-one and we have these conversations. So it's not just real estate agents getting exposed to this training. It's mentorship. It's him. We're a part of the Tom Ferry ecosystem as well. And so Coach Emily Kettenberg sits down with us every month. And we go through what it is to be a real estate agent, our challenges, the objections, all of those things. So I believe that, and Levi believes that, Myra believes that training knowledge is king.
Yeah, I agree. You got to invite me to one of these
Say
huddles.
less. Say less, man. I'm telling you, and you'll have so much value, and I think that we can add value to you.
Yeah.
Right. So when we get around the right people,
Yeah. Exactly.
make things
It's all
happen.
about collaboration, man. I mean, I know a couple of things. Like
He said, I know a couple of things.
I'm happy to share. You know,
I love that.
It's all about, you know, just elevating each other. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely up for it.
Yeah, that's part of my purpose in life. So I chase purpose. And I tell agents this very first conversation.
Yeah.
I tell them who I am. You know, I'm a father first.
Yeah.
I have a 26-year-old daughter, Anna, love you, girl. My son is Roman. He just turned 9 this past Saturday.
Oh.
He has the same birthday as me. So he's 9 and I'm the old man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you were telling me you were on a trip, right?
Yeah. So it was really cool. But purpose in life has always been being a father, right?
Yeah.
So I knew at a young age I wanted to be a dad. And so I pursued that purpose, and anything that fed into that purpose is what I was going to do, right? And then becoming a mentor, when I was presented that opportunity by Levi about 3 years ago, what I developed or what I realized is there's another facet to my purpose in life. And I truly believe inspiring other people to their greatness and then helping you achieve that greatness is part of what I'm called to do. And I do that shit well.
Yeah, you do.
Yes, sir.
You're doing it, man.
Yes, sir.
So we're talking a lot about success. What's one habit or routine that you apply to your life that you feel has had the most positive impact?
So I'm gonna mention two things, but they're kind of very, very similar. A very, very good friend of mine, Pedro, he is
Pedro from last week?
Yeah,
Oh,
Pedro
right.
from last week is my boy. So he does something that I think is phenomenal. Like I give him so much props for this. When I first learned how he was doing what he was doing, I told him, I was like, man, I don't even think I can do it. Like I just, the way my day, my life, being a dad, all that stuff works out, man, I just, it's crazy to me, but I admire it tremendously. And it wasn't until I started to reach my capacity in my role that I realized that I had to get out of my comfort zone. And it wasn't that I couldn't do something, it was that I was choosing not to because I was comfortable in where I was at.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think will help anyone, and I attribute part of my success is structure, man. Like you got to structure your day. Like you have to have a plan. It needs to be on your calendar, and it needs to be realistic, and it needs to be something that you do not compromise. It's like an appointment with the client, right? If the appointment for the client is at 12, we don't not show up to the appointment.
Exactly.
Right? And if you're willing to show up for a stranger that you don't know, how much more important or in a prioritized fashion and thought process is it to show up for yourself? Right. So when you make it about that, like when you change your perspective on it, all of a sudden, it's not hard anymore. It's just, that's what we do.
Yeah.
So structure my day. He does phenomenal with his calendar, man. Like he has this stuff blocked out and he lives by it.
Yeah.
So his calendar is color coordinated, just right dress. It's amazing. And so that's the thing. Like I really got structured and I really got disciplined about this is the time that I'm going to do these things, and I do it. Right. And then I think the very first thing that I do in the morning, so I have an awesome routine with my son. We get up and I want his day to start like with a smile on his face. He's eager. We do our affirmations. But before we do all those things, man, I sit down and pray. I really believe, regardless what your personal beliefs are, for me, my God, I genuinely believe that faith has carried me through my life, has carried me through my professional success. And so I try to start my day every day with prayer, with gratitude, because I know that tomorrow's not promised. And I'm grateful for the moment. I'm glad for the work that's in front of me, that's been put in front of me. So that's my habit. That's my routine. Those are part of what I think attributes my success.
And it's funny you mentioned that one because that's one of the ones that I personally struggle with. You know, I know about like the time block. You know, if you look at my calendar, it's time blocked. But am I holding myself to it? That's another question.
That's who you talking to? Come on, baby. I'm right here. I was there, dude. I'm telling you, Pedro is phenomenal in that regard to me. Like that's something that I have a tremendous amount of respect for because I understand how hard it is.
Yeah.
So when you put that time, that's why I made it about me, right? So like if I'm going to show up for a stranger, why would I not show up for me? Because showing up for me allows me to show up for my son, allows me to show up for my daughter, allows me to show up for my friends, my family, my business, the people that are depending on me within my business, right? So if you look at it like from that perspective, at least that's how I was able to get over that hump.
Yeah.
All right. So if it's on my calendar, I'm not going to put it on my calendar if I'm not committed to it.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
Right. But if I put it on there, I won't allow anything to interrupt that.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing I got to work on, because I mean, I have certain things blocked off, but then life happens, something's going on. It's like, okay, I can move it to later, move it to another hour later, and then before you know it, sorry, I'm pushing this to tomorrow, and before you know it, it's been a month since you've done that thing.
I've been there.
Yeah, so it's definitely figuring out like what your why is, and ever since I had a baby boy,
Changes the
it,
game,
it
right?
does change it, because it's like, man, now it's not just about me. I was telling Pedro last week, I'm like, man, now he's right now he's watching. He don't know what's going on, but in a
Yeah.
couple of years, he's gonna watch and he's like, okay, Dad puts off a lot of stuff, like, maybe it's okay, So I definitely don't want to. I don't want to show that.
I would tell you, as they get older, the challenges change. But one thing that I think that has been very, very consistent, because my daughter's 26 and my son's 9. And one thing that's been very, very parallel for both of them is that they pay attention.
Yeah.
They pay attention more than you really believe. And I'm always conscientious of the fact of what am I modeling for him? What kind of man am I showing him that I am? And I think that it's extremely important that your word is your bond, right? And so that's how I model for him, and when it comes to work, responsibilities is how I try to teach it to him. It's not, Dad's got to go to work today. Dad's on a work phone call. Dad's got to do this for work. It's Dad's handling his responsibilities so that I can be here for your birthday party. So I can be here to pick you up every day. So I can take you to school every day.
Yeah.
So we can have that scooter that you love. You know what I mean? So we handle our responsibilities so that we can be present for the things that matter. Yeah.
Exactly, and I love that. And that's one of the things I'm working on. I'm not perfect by any means.
Oh.
So
Tell me who
that's,
is.
That's one of those things that I'm definitely committed to improving. That's what this is about. It's day by day. I'm not gonna be perfect tomorrow. Stacking wins, right? Day by day.
Dude, I really like that name, man. Like I really, really like that name, because no matter how high you climb in success, or no matter where you are in your process, like stacking wins.
Yeah.
Like be present where your feet are, and then just worry about the next step.
Exactly.
We have a plan, of course. We know where the goal is. But if you're just focused on right there, dude, like that really,
Yeah.
man, that shit resonates, man. I love it.
Yeah, man. It doesn't even matter how big the win is. It's something small. You know what I mean? Like something that I think a lot of people can relate to is just like fitness. Like somebody's always trying to gain or lose weight or something, and it starts off with something small. It's like, what's your first one of the day? Are you gonna choose a bowl of cereal, or are you gonna choose some oatmeal, some like a protein? That's already a win. You already started off some good momentum. And you're not gonna drop weight that moment, but stack those little wins for your meals every single like hour of the day. Make good decisions, and it's like momentum's building.
Yes, it's momentum.
Exactly.
Dude, you don't know how well, maybe you do, but most people don't realize how important momentum is.
It's big.
Like if you just do this one thing, like do this one thing and do it to the best of your ability, and don't worry about the outcome, right? Detach yourself from the outcome. If you just do this one thing, and then you just do this one more thing, and one more thing, and one more thing, and you start showing up for yourself today, and you show up for yourself tomorrow, and then you start showing up for the people around you. That momentum builds. It's intangible, but it builds. And over time, that's what leads to success, man. Like there's so many things that are going to contribute, but people don't realize is just do that one thing and do it well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. So I'm going to quote Levi right now. You can tell me if it's accurate or not. So one thing that Levi said, and I believe this was from you winning like the #1 mentorship award.
No.
You said that Rick had made every mistake that you can possibly make, and then some more. And
I don't know about the last part.
And that's why he's so good. So is that true? Something like that?
So, yeah, it was kind of worse, because if you if you know my man Levi's, he's a character, man. So give you a little context. Last year we had we crushed like $1 billion worth of real estate in our organization. And we had like 258 real estate agents at the time, growing. And so we had this huge award ceremony. So he wanted to recognize and give respect and appreciation to everybody in our organization that was performing, that was involved with it, from years of sponsorship with us down to the production and all those things.
Yeah.
I had the privilege and again the honor, and I say that a lot when it comes to this role, because I'm so grateful for it. right? Like I'm so grateful for the role that I have.
Yeah.
But I had the privilege and honor to be voted the #1 mentor for the Levi Rodgers Group for 2023. And so, you know, I'm suited and booted, and I like every teeth in my mouth, like, you know, and I'm walking up to the stage, and you know, I'm looking out over a crowd of 200 plus people, and Levi standing there, and like as soon as my first foot hits the step to walk up to the stage, he's with this, you know, Rick has made every mistake that you can make in real estate, and then so. And you know, he's like, so he projects his voice and he's authentic in everything that he says. And I'm like, what? Yeah. This is what you say when I walk on the stage. And I'm looking at it and the crowd's like, what? Huh? You know, and they're like, nobody's really getting it yet. And I was like, what? Yeah. Then Levi, right behind that statement, he says, and that's why he's so good. There was this awkward long pause, and he was waiting for me to get on stage, and he was like, and that's why you're so good. Right. It's not so much that I've made every mistake. It's just that I've learned from each of them.
That's important.
And I don't make the same mistake twice. Yeah. Right. And I think that it's very, very humbling too. Right. And it's something that keeps me grounded in that. I think Denzel Washington said it really well. He said, fail often, and then fail forward. I think I'm a product of failing forward. Yeah. Right. So like momentum too, right. Tying into the previous conversation is I refuse to fail. And in the process of refusing to fail, you are going to make mistakes. And then you're going to make all of them that you can make as a real estate agent. You feel me? And then hopefully when you get into position, you can share that with somebody else so that maybe they can learn from it and not have to make the same thing. For sure.
That's powerful too. You know, there's so many sports stories where these big athletes, we see them now, you know, it's bigger, larger than life, you know, the best in their specific sport. And it's crazy when you hear stories of them not being good at the beginning.
Not making their high school team.
Yeah.
And failing out of college and then going to a different college. Yeah. Like all kinds of stuff.
There's so many. Like the one that I just saw recently was like Steph Curry, you know?
Yeah.
Huge underdog, you know, in college. You know, he was doing everything he could, but he was just, nobody thought he was going to be what he is today.
Right.
You know, and
Hall of Famer.
Exactly. Who would have listened to that? Where would he be?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that ties into everything we've been talking about. Like stacking wins. Yeah. Momentum. Surround yourself with the right people. Prioritize yourself in what you're doing in your time.
Exactly.
Right? And then, you know, for me, it was, you know, my why was so powerful. I didn't care how anymore. Right. Whatever that process looked like. Yeah. I didn't care. Right. And I alluded to it earlier, you know, my first year in real estate, tremendous amount of success, but Levi never promised me that success. Yeah. Like when I first started, he wasn't like, Rick, you're going to make $100,000, bro. Yeah. Like done. You're making that money. He never said I was going to close 1, 2, 10, 5, whatever properties this month, this quarter, this year. Yeah. Right. He's only ever promised me the opportunities to determine my own fate, to determine my own fate. Right. And that was the promise he made me. I got in front of 337 people my first year to create 27 wins. Right. And every year since then, he's been as good as his word. When I became a mentor, he never promised me, Rick, man, you're going to take over. You're going to be this and you're going to be that. And you're going to achieve this. And you're going to, he only ever promised me, he said, Rick, man, whatever you want to build, I'm going to provide you the opportunities to do exactly that. Right. And that's what it's about. Right. If you're anything like me, crack that door open and see what I do. Crack the door and see what I do. I'm coming through that door. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's good he didn't like kind of blow you up that way, you know, because I think having that, like, I guess still having like that doubt is good. You know, I think having it's a little bit of it ignites you a little bit, you know, to work a little harder because you don't want to fail, you know, and if you think I'm going to succeed no matter what, then that's going to definitely change your demeanor and change how you kind of go about your day to day. But when you're not sure, it's like, okay, I got to work a little hard to actually make this work.
I'm telling you. So, courage isn't the absence of fear, right? It's being scared shitless. Like you do not know how this is going to play out, whether you're in the military with a uniform on and bullets are flying around you, or you're a small business owner investing everything you got into something, right? Whatever that situation is. But fear isn't that. You know, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's you're afraid, but we're still doing this thing anyways. And I would tell you, dude, like there's an element of fear in everything that I do. Sitting here in this podcast, man, I want to represent myself so well. I want to represent my organization so well. I want to give thanks to God and to the people around me that put me right here. Like I was afraid coming into this. Like I want to show up for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. And at some point, like my best friend told me, he's like, Rick, man, you got to start showing up for you too. Cause hey, you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing it for all these things and all these people. And it's okay to say, hey, we're doing well.
Yeah.
Right. So we're doing well, man.
Yeah, we are. And it's hard to realize that sometimes, you know, because I feel like we're always looking at the future, you know, looking at everything that has not been done, that we forget to look at what has been done, you know, like we got to show that gratitude and time block for gratitude. You know, that's what I have to do sometimes.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, I got to wake up and take some time to just really appreciate where I am, you know, because if you would have asked me 5 years ago where I wanted to be, it's like I'm living it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I forget that sometimes because I'm looking at the next 5 years already. Like, all right, I don't care about myself 5 years ago. I care about myself in 5 years from today. So I forget to really just be in the moment and enjoy it and realize that, hey, it all paid off. You know, like I made myself proud 5 years ago. I did what I wanted to do, and now it's about like the new goals. But take a moment, you know, reflect and just be present and enjoy the moment. You know, you got to.
I agree with you. And it's funny because I coach people to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's times when, I'm so focused on the next task.
Yeah.
The next person I need to get in front of, the next appointment to meet, the next whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
That even today, today's a great example. I took my son on his field trip, and just being able to, on a Friday during the work hours, being able to break away and be present for my son and 5 other kids that I didn't know, but they thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
That Roman's dad showed up, and I got Gatorade, I got water, these little snacks for everybody. And we're doing this, and I caught him smiling at me, and he didn't know I was paying attention, right?
Yeah.
And it's all worth it, man. Like in that moment, I realized, dude, I'm right where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing. I'm doing exactly what I'm called to do. So like getting back into work after that, like I'm it's a part of my process now. Like I don't look at it like work anymore. I look at it like this is just a part of the process that's going to lead me to not just fulfill my potential, but my capacity. And like a lot of people don't understand the difference between capacity versus potential. Like you can have the potential to, lift 315 pounds 5 times. What's your capacity though? Right?
Yeah.
How much more can you do? Right? How much more can you become? So I chase capacity tremendously. People ask me, Rick, you got 50 agents. How do you do that? Rick, you got 70 agents. How do you do that? Rick, you got 90 agents. How do you do that?
Yeah.
And I would tell them, man, I'm constantly pressing. I'm constantly in my uncomfort zone.
Yeah.
Like I'm never going to let myself get comfortable. Right. And to your point, being able to be grateful for the moment and being present in that moment, it doesn't mean you get comfortable.
Exactly.
I think that's the other side of the coin too, is, you can be present, you can be grateful, and then let's get to work. Yeah. Like, let's get to work. We got stuff to do.
Exactly.
Right. But don't ever get comfortable. And I think that's one of the risks of finding success too, is shit, man, like I didn't even think life could look like this. I didn't think we could live like this. I didn't think we could have the opportunities that we have, the choices, the freedom that we have. Right. And then, so we stop growing. Right. I think that's one of my main fears, is to stop growing, to stop scaling, to stop becoming my next best version. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's big too, man. Cause I had that conversation with myself, like a month ago, it's like, I was at a point where I was content, I was like, this is good. This is good. And I wasn't doing anything new. And I was like, I need to challenge myself. If I want to grow my business, if I even like in mortgage and with like outside of it, I got to start making some moves. I want to, I have a lot that I want to achieve, but yeah, comfort is definitely the opposite of what you want to be feeling. Because if you feel like things are good, things are easy, it doesn't mean you're good. It just means you're not trying to grow anymore.
Yeah, you're maintaining.
Exactly.
And everybody's journey is different. So I'm not trying to tell you that don't get to a level and be good where you're at. I'm just saying if your capacity is more, you owe it to yourself first, and then everyone around you. Yeah, man.
Definitely.
And for me, it's like being vulnerable for a second. Like my biggest hurdle in the past quarter has been realizing that I don't know it all yet. right? Like, you know, people are like, oh, I don't know everything, but we feel like we do.
Yeah.
We feel like we know a lot about whatever it is that we're a master of.
Yeah.
Right. And so for me, I got to a point and I got checked hard in life. Right. And I was angry and I was hurt and my pride was up, my
Yeah.
ego was up, and I was like, no, what? I got this. I know this. I do this. Da, 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 da. And I realized that I had stopped growing.
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I had stopped being humble. I realized that I was being closed-minded to somebody else's perspective that may or may not be right, but I was being closed-minded to somebody in the advice that was being given, right? And that was a real good thing that happened. It was hard and painful to get through that, and it's something that it's a lesson I'll never forget, and that won't be something I'll ever do again. But I will tell you, it's not the successes that sometimes drive you; it's the failures that drive you, man.
Yeah.
And especially when you think that you've achieved a certain level or become a certain level, or you had a goal 5 years ago and you finally got there, right? I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, it does, man. It does. And that kind of leads me into like the next question I wanted to talk to you about. You kind of touched on it, I think. But what type of like legacy are you working towards? You know, like for like your family, like what do you want to leave behind? You know, like what kind of thoughts do you want your family to have of you, like in the future?
It's a hard one. Not because I don't have the answer. It's just hard to share it.
Yeah.
You know?
It is. I get that.
Give you a little context is, you know, I grew up in a big family, right? There was 5 boys in my household. I was adopted. My mom adopted all 5 of us.
Yeah.
You know, and we didn't have a lot. Like she worked from 5:30. She left the house at 5:30 in the morning. She didn't get home till like 7. And my grandmother raised us. And she's hands down my mother and my grandmother, the best women I've ever known in my life, you know? And I hope to be a tenth of who they are, the character, the strength that they had, you know, teaching and growing 5 boys. But I share that story with you because we didn't come from much. I didn't own my own pair of jeans until I was like 18. You know, everything was hand-me-down. I was the second oldest, you know? And so when I was growing up, success looked like making $100,000. Success looked like always having the lights on. Success looked like never being hungry.
Yeah.
You know, that was success. That was success. You know, and then I got a little older and success evolved into a monetary number and a materialistic thing. And then success evolved into my 30s into ownership. Ownership matters, huge. Wherever you're at in your journey, man, own something, whether it's a house, whether it's a business, whether it's your car, just owning your vehicle, man. Ownership matters. And it became ownership. And now today, you know, going from where I started to today, you know, legacy looks like the freedom to choose how I live my day. Legacy is spending time how you choose to spend time.
Yeah.
Not how the world tells you, not how the work tells you, not how your obligations tell you, how you choose to spend that time. And my job is to start that legacy of freedom for my family and the people that matter to me. And that's going to look like choice. My son, my daughter is going to have a choice in how they spend their days and how they, who they surround themselves with. It looks like leaving a lasting residency in people's lives that I've been able to touch. And they're going to share the story of Rick Graham and what we were able to do together, because it wasn't just me. What Rick Graham was to me and what we were able to accomplish together. I think that people are going to, legacy looks like to me that long after I'm gone and there's far more gray, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That they're going to be talking and using their life experiences as lessons for somebody else. And if I can do that, and if I can achieve those things, man, I've done what I was supposed to do.
That's powerful, man.
Yeah.
That's powerful. So like going off of that, so I know that's what you're working towards, right? To do for your family. Like what kind of things are you going to be doing? Like what does the next 5 years look like for you? Like how does that impact like your immediate future and like how you're going to kind of set up the set up your days, set up the years? Like, do you have any specific goals in mind for the next few years?
Yeah. So I think that a basis for all of those things to have that choice is to build wealth. And wealth for the average man, and I'm the average man, is real estate,
Yeah.
right? So buying real estate and renting those properties out, being a good steward of those assets is going to start to lay a foundation for us and me and my. I think that involving myself with investments that make sense. And I also think that like on a micro level, like the very first step is showing up on a podcast with Hector and sharing my story and him sharing his and having a conversation that we can take and touch more people, which allows me to recruit more people, which allows me to impact more people, you know? So I think that those are steps to take in my 5-year plan. You know, there's specific goals in place that I need to do. So in 5 years from now, you know, I'm going to be able to look back and say, hey man, we achieved the goal. But I think that it's super important, kind of like your day is, you need to structure that plan and you need to leverage your knowledge as a real estate agent, man. Like, people come to us for our expertise, right? And if you're not, and you're building, Tom Ferry said this 2 summits ago, and I walked out of there so insulted. Insulted. So insulted. Like I was so mad. Yes, Pedro. I was so mad. He said, we're sitting like, Tom Ferry's like 20 feet from us on this, 10-foot stage. And we're looking up at him. We're sitting at these nice little tables and, like a nice area, really close to the stage. And he wasn't talking to me personally. He was talking to all of us, but I felt like he was talking to me. He got on stage and he was talking about the fact that you are experts in your field. Every person in this room is a proven success story, right? And every single day, you build somebody else's portfolio for peanuts. He said you build other people's portfolio every investor that you help build his portfolio. What are you doing for yourself?
Oh, okay.
What are you doing for you?
It's true. I get it.
What are you doing for you? And you got to remember, 7 years in the game. I started in Fort Cavazos right now. Helped open up Austin. Been in Austin since the inauguration of it. Moved down to San Antonio. Top producer in all 3 markets. Became a mentor. My team spread is expressed throughout all 3 markets. And I'm doing it on a scale that I'm building other people's portfolios with the knowledge and skill sets that I've developed over 7 years of sacrifice and compromise. What am I doing for me?
Yeah.
And I was so angry, not because he said that to me. I was angry because it was true.
Yeah.
Right. And that lit the fire underneath me. If you want to know what my 5-year, where the origination of my 5-year plan came from, was from that conversation.
Oh yeah.
I walked out that thing. I was like, I'm putting a plan in place. I'm going to get myself around the right people. I'm going to start asking more questions. I'm going to get curious.
Yeah.
I'm going to come from a place of curiosity. I just want to know. And, and I've never stopped. Right. And so we're
gonna have to get on that too, because I'm gonna pick your brain a little bit about investments, because that's honestly something that I've been thinking about myself. I wasn't a part of that summit, but I kind of had that revelation myself. It's like I'm helping all these people buy their first home, second home, third home, investment home, and I'm not worried about my homes. So I got to.
What about my doors?
Exactly, man. And it really lights me up too whenever I see like just other people that I work with. It's like, oh, I just got my 10th house or 15th house, 20th house, and I'm like, man, that's crazy. It all starts with step one. I think it is daunting at times to figure out how to invest because there's risk, and I think that's what stopped me more than anything. But I think I'm at a point where it's like I can take a little risk, but calculated risk, but I can take it, so I think that's what starts the portfolio. So
well, that I think that's the key, man. Like, so calculated risks. And so you're in a position of extreme knowledge in this regard as a loan officer. You're on the other side of the coin. My job is to identify and negotiate, right? Your job is to crunch the numbers and make it happen if it's possible, right? So we're in positions where we can identify properties and possibilities, and then we can run the numbers and make it make sense.
Yeah.
So calculated risks, we got that piece.
Yeah.
I knew I needed to invest 2 years ago. And then I didn't make it a priority. Yes. Ask me how many doors I have.
How many?
None.
So we gotta get this going, man.
Right. But it's
gotta
the
start.
fear of success for me.
Yeah.
Right. So some people are afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Right. I don't even see failure as a possibility. I'm going to learn. I'm going to make those mistakes, but I'm always going to win.
Mhm.
I believe that. I know that, you know, I'm always going to fail forward. I'm always going to become however long that process takes, I'm going to get there. But being successful is scary too.
Yeah.
Right. You know, damn, you know, this is crazy. I'm doing this. I'm doing this.
Yeah.
5 boys, all of us adopted, mom and grandma till today,
Mhm.
you know? And so for me, it's always been a fear of being wildly successful,
Yeah.
achieving those goals, you know? So kind of like with my broker's license, I've made it a priority. I'm under contract for my first store.
Nice, man. Congrats.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir. You know what I mean? Like,
It's a big deal.
hell yeah, it is. You know, it's a big deal, man. Like, I tell people, and I coach to it, is it doesn't matter. Yesterday doesn't matter anymore.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter. We don't control tomorrow.
Yeah.
We have no control over it. But what we do right now, I knew 2 years ago I needed to get into investments. I needed to buy my first store. I needed to invest my money. I needed to take the next step in my path. I knew 2 years ago.
Mhm.
It took me 2 years to take my first step.
Yeah.
Right. So what I would want to share with anybody is that first step is the hardest one.
Mhm.
It's not calculated. Well, you know, calculators plays a part, but that first step is the hardest part of this process. Just signing on that dotted line saying, this is the property, this is my decision, this is what I'm going to do, and then taking action. Levi's huge on taking action. I'm huge on taking action. So regardless of how long it's been since you've identified you needed to do something,
Yeah.
regardless of where you're at today, take action. You know what I mean?
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
All right. So we've had a lot of good conversation today. So we're gonna wrap this up with just a little piece of advice. If you could give advice to a father, a realtor, just a person, what is the piece of advice you would just give to anybody watching right now?
Sure. You know, we've touched on a lot of different things today. Yeah. I think all of that stuff has a lot of value. I think
so.
that you can incorporate these things into your day. You can incorporate it into your plan. You can incorporate it into what those goals look like in your capacity versus potential. If I was to give advice to a father, to a man, to a real estate agent, mentor, whoever you are, wherever you are in life, I think that it would start with just decide. You need to decide who you are going to be. You need to decide what that thing looks like. You need to decide what your journey path is. You need to decide what your goals are. You need to decide to start asking questions and get curious. You need to decide to get serious about prioritizing over time management. You need to get serious and you need to decide the action you're going to take. I think that, you know, action starts from a decision, right? You know, I think discipline starts from a decision. I think everything starts from us deciding internally, what is it going to be? Who am I going to be? And how is it going to be?
Yeah.
Right. So I would challenge you, and it's going to change. You know, I'm 43. When I was 25, it didn't look like this. When I was 35, it didn't look like this. I'm assuming when I get to 45, it's not going to look like this.
Yeah.
But that's life. Life is ever evolving. It's ever changing. Our business, real estate, is ever evolving, ever changing. Being a father is ever evolving, ever changing. So I would challenge you. I would challenge you today, and I will challenge you 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Decide who you are going to be. Decide what it looks like for you. Decide for yourself what actions you're going to take to achieve the goals that you've decided on. Decide.
Exactly. And just to even add one little piece on that, decide who you're going to be, but also don't try to figure out the next 50 steps. Just focus on that next one.
Yes.
And do that.
You don't have to have the whole picture painted out.
That stops everybody, man. They're like, okay, I want to do this. Let me figure out the next 100 steps. And it never happens.
Yeah.
But figure out the next one, call it, do it.
Love it.
And then you'll make it.
I love it.
All right.
I really appreciate this time today.
I appreciate your time, man. Thanks for stopping by. This was a great episode.
Yes,
Gotta
sir.
do it again, man.
Absolutely. Damn. How are we here talking this long? Is it me? I'm talking too much.